Hi, and welcome once again to What's the Damage companion show to the incredibly well-known and popular real play D&D show Roll for Damage, made possible by viewers like you. So, sometimes the aftermath of things is almost as hard as the thing itself. That's when you really knows how sore your muscles are, how tired you are, how much you're looking forward to your soft, quiet bed, and how much you're not looking forward to talking to the entire triumvirate before you even had a chance to rest or get dinner or, just sit down for 5 seconds. But stuff happened. Stuff happens, and the three big bosses were waiting to debrief our heroes when they finally managed to stumble back to Oriana's mom's house. We have some good news and we got some news. So the good news is Oriana's head is officially off the chopping block. Bad news is Beltime's sister got detained for questioning by the government. Uh, Good news, the conspiracy has been revealed. Bad news, shit's still pretty complicated. There might be another few layers to this, who knows? Good news, the party got paid quite handsomely for the work they did. Bad news, the party now has to do community service for the government once again because of all the breaking and entering they did while doing that thing that they did, which they got paid for. It's a little circuitous, but yeah, whatever, that's bureaucracy. There's plenty to discuss today and plenty to speculate about, and we will be doing all of that starting in just a minute. As always, stick around for streams, links, charities, resources, cool shit. I'm your host, Truth Venson, and this is What's the Damage? Hello, we've got some wonderful guests. We've got Caleel back because unfortunately his power went out last week in the middle of the stream, so we didn't get to ask him a bunch of questions, which I desperately need the answers to. Hi, Caleel, welcome back. And then we've got Jake, who plays Oriana, who has had another big day. Feels like she's always having big days. So, bunch of stuff happened. You guys got debriefed. You got some gold. You found out maybe some stuff that's going to happen next. Maybe, who knows? Everything's really complicated. Baltame's sister got locked up a little bit, sort
Yeah,
of,
a little
maybe.
bit.
What's the damage, guys?
Um, in spite of talking about all this, let's talk about Oriana's date.
We don't need to talk about that. We can talk about something else.
Oriana is, she's grown up. She's grown before our eyes, literally and figuratively. She's also aged.
Not that noticeably.
No, I mean, there's a little like, wrinkle
There's
lines that
like
weren't
a
there, worry
little,
lines that weren't there.
it's like a aura of maturity, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Hey, I'm sure, Oriana's mom, Stone Cold MILF, Oriana, getting there now.
I did say Cade was hanging out with Oriana's mom. He might have
Hey,
acquired a taste for older women.
oh my
Might
God.
might be more helpful than hurtful than in Oriana's case. I'm just saying. I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't there when they were talking to each other. But could be.
Oh my God, what if Maria's mom is cheating on her dad with Cade? That'd be so dramatic. That'd
Serenity,
be
if you
so
do that,
dramatic.
I think I will actually cry on stream.
Beautiful. It wouldn't be the first time. Anyway. Lovely. Serenity loves making her players cry. Yeah, nice way. Promotions. Anyway, so Caleel, Baltane's sister showed up, and it's really her in the flesh. Stuff is happening. Could you refresh us a little bit on what Baltane had thought happened to her?
Well, so it kind of was the kind of drawing piece of Baltane's backstory of like him and his sister were essentially out and adventuring together, and she had gotten kidnapped, Asimar napped by a bunch of undead, and Baltane basically just wasn't kidnapped. He was just like, they're like, oh, we don't need this guy. Kill him if you want to. And basically, what he had thought is that undead had taken her, and for some reason, not taken him. And that was the sort of whole like process of the going to Zarethamar and finding that outpost and the whole outpost of the undead and the corrupting light thing, and that's where this like the culmination of all that kind of led to what this undying cult and Asimar being used for some sort of weapon. That's pretty much it for what Baltane understood and how, and from the information we gathered, what he understands currently.
Well, luckily she doesn't appear to be being held prisoner by zombies or anything at the moment. And she's friends with Butcher, apparently, who doesn't seem like the mustache twirling supervillain that Dobby thought he was, but is still a criminal. Is this a surprise for Baltaim to know that his sister's like involved in this kind of stuff?
From what he understands, it's not like she like seeked out
Yes.
Butcher to like be buddies. It was more like, from what I understand, it's like she was there, he was there because of his daughter, and by circumstances they had a relationship because he wanted to do something for his daughter, and he kind of saw his daughter in Shy, and he was like, oh, I don't feel right trying to like not help this girl. So that did come off as a surprise to me. I did not ever think in any world that my sister and Butcher would be like the tag team duo of the century. So I did not expect that. And I was kind of conflicted of like, what do I do? Because I've like only heard Dobby's perspective of Butcher. So I'm like, oh, this is a fucking stone cold killer. I need to like stop him. But getting his story, understanding him a little more, I think there is more appreciation in both sides for him.
Yeah, and they seemed kind of close, I thought. Or at least that was the impression. They seemed like they were friends, at least, or they're at least very friendly.
It's. I mean, if this like this timeline still tracks the same, probably been a few. It's been like 6 or some months with Baltaim and these people, so it's probably been nearly the same amount of time with her and Butcher.
So they had a chance to get to know each other.
Yeah.
And that might prove to be a problem, as Butcher is part of the underworld, and Ball's sister just got arrested, kind of, just being held.
Being researched.
Yeah. Well, she's not allowed to leave, so she's being detained. Detained, as it were. Yeah, so Baltaim worried about this, because he did seem quite upset when everyone was like, actually, we're just gonna take your sister and scoot her off to this lax site over here.
Yeah, Baltaim's quite upset.
Yeah.
I actively just I made a choice to not just like start yelling at people, because it was already like we're already going down that route with like everyone else yelling at Oriana. So I just wanted to like ball teams always been, like since we've known it's been the Zen guy anyway. So him coming at a different approach of like I'm upset and disappointed, not like angry. Like I think makes a different shade of like anger than like just yelling at people. But he's definitely not happy about this. Um, he in his eyes he basically just like traded shackles for his sister, which might be helpful, might not be helpful, but he definitely wanted to let her have the freedom of her choice to do what she wanted to do. If she wanted to be, safeguarded away, that would be up to her, and he would, assist in any manner possible, obviously. But he wanted it to be up to her choice, not to just like, well, these people are taking it now, and okay, can't do anything about it, which is basically what has transpired. So he's not super happy about this outcome.
Yeah, I seem to recall that she was quite eager to leave too, as she was telling Beltane, I think episode before last, at the episode before last, that we can talk, but I need to get going pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, I think she mainly didn't want it. She just didn't want to be around a whole bunch of people. I don't think I don't know. I didn't get the feeling that she had like a next plan she was gonna do. But it seemed like she just wanted to get away from a trail, away from this like noise, and like kind of like take some time to breathe and like think about what are the next steps that we can think about together that won't endanger my brother or anyone surrounding. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully she gets out of jail soon, or not jail. Gets out of not jail soon.
Very nice detainment. Different.
Yeah, a polite little. You're not allowed to go anywhere.
Yeah.
That seems to be how they do it in Trill. It's very polite, but they will kill you probably. Anyway, so you guys did have your little debrief with the triumvirate. Before we like really get into some of the stuff that happened there, I was wondering, do you think this is it for this particular conspiracy? Do you think there's another layer? Is something else going to come up? Do you have any crazy Jay-like theories?
I definitely don't think this is the end of this conspiracy. Efrain very much seems to have hands on the reins when it comes to it. And the fact that he's still out there means that even if this wasn't maybe his idea, he still has it as an option to him. Mm-hmm. If I remember correctly, they haven't really found the evidence that was planted yet. I think they're looking for it, but they haven't found it. So, it kind of all depends on what it all is. I mean, now that the triumvirate knows about the evidence, it's probably not going to have as much of an impact, but it could still look really bad for them if it's something god awful.
Could be explosive.
Could be explosives.
I get a sense that in Riverrun, from the way that Ileana acted, this is par for the course. There's always some conspiracy. There's always some underhanded vibe for power. There's always some, my general that I know is trying to fuck me. I'm just going to let him do what he wants to do, let him think he has upper hand. So when I ultimately find out and get someone else to find out, it's small potatoes in the end. I feel like this is very just how business as usual goes here. I think there is no end to like anything here. There's always just more vibing and juxtapositions, power and stuff like that.
That's exhausting. But yeah, I think you're right. She'd very much have the attitude of, oh yeah, that sounds right. She didn't seem surprised at all when you guys were like, here's our evidence. Dramatic.
She was like, oh, it took you like 3 days. Okay, I was expecting like 2, but okay, that's fine.
Yeah, she was like, okay, yeah, that sounds like stuff I pretty much knew already.
Yeah.
Thanks. Fun times. Awesome. So was Oriana expecting just Kate to show up?
Yes. She really thought it was just going to be hey, we want to share with you what we found, so that we can, maybe set up a meeting. She 100% did not think that the entire triumvirate would just be like, oh, we're going to stop everything that we're doing. Country, you're on hold. Hold on. Sorry. All operations, pause that button. We're going to this little tiefling's house, and we're going to have a meeting with her.
It was very dramatic.
Yeah. In retrospect, Oriana probably should have guessed that that's what was going to happen based off of the information she gave in the sending. So she probably could have worded that a little bit better. Maybe, hey, we have an update we want to share with you. She basically summarized like the everything they found out. Implying that, hey, we kind of solved the problem. Or well, he has some guards that travel with him, DM saying that he said he wouldn't be alone.
Yeah.
Just real. I have to keep reminding myself they can't hear her snide comments.
Oh yeah, She has to turn on the peanut gallery, which usually doesn't. Yeah. She's just so everyone knows. Serenity is always making little comments in the background.
The DM as always is omnipresent and omni-aware. They're always there.
Omnipresent, omni-aware. So if we're ever laughing at what looks like nothing, it's probably something Serenity said. Lordy. So honestly, like I was also a little bit surprised that the entire triumvirate showed up in force at Oriana's mom's house. I was expecting it to be a little bit more of a low-key debrief, but they've got a sense for melodrama, perhaps. I mean, that's where Oriana gets it. That's the culture. It's melodramatic. Lovely.
Everything's a parade.
It's a parade. Oh, it's always a performance. Anyway, so Oriana is a good result of this is that Oriana is a little bit more out of the woods than she was before. She's no longer slayed for execution, so that's always a good thing to hear. So is this a relief for her? Like, does she feel like she's kind of earned a little bit breathing room here?
I would equate this more to she's not at the chopping block anymore, but she's definitely not free. I think this is more or less not a stay of execution. I don't think that's the right word.
No, stay of execution means that
you're on probation later. Instead of being
probation. There we go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But she's definitely more on like a probation, I feel like, especially because they still want her to do more work for the country. Which she's more than happy to do because they basically want her to do what she wants to do, which is find the asshole that lied to her and make him pay.
That was going to be my next question. How does Oriana feel about being tasked with capturing her old mentor?
Honestly, the Emberhold Mines was kind of going to be like, okay, well, I'll do this. And then Kay was like, oh, yeah, by the way, he was seen there at some point. I don't know if he's still there, but that's our last information about him. Now she's like, okay, let's finish up what we got to do here. And then we're going to go on a field trip. And then I'm going to get this guy and I'm going to put him into a bubble of just pure energy and never let him out.
She's very mad at him.
Yeah, she does not like being used.
Right. So does she... This is something that I thought was interesting because, like, does Oriana now think that he lied to her about everything, or?
She's gonna ask him some questions. I'm guessing when we eventually, or if we eventually catch him. But at the moment, she's operating under the assumption that he was definitely twisting the truth. When he was speaking to her, he was definitely trying to get her to question things, about her home, about her country, about her people.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have written somewhere in her backstory that she's a nationalist at heart. Like, she believes in her country and its ideologies, but when she well, I mean, okay, their ideology is, hey, a unified world is a peaceful world.
They're imperialists, though.
Yeah,
they're imperialists. Yes, I mean, there's some things
proper
wrong.
Britain, proper early America,
but that's kind of how she's grown. Like, I mean, before she met him, she was 100% drinking the Kool-Aid. Yeah. We need to unify the world. She didn't care how that was being done. She knew there was, military, but she, for the most part, thought, it's just, it's a necessary evil. And then she heard about the weapons of mass destruction and the bombs and those kinds of things. And she's like, excuse me, they're doing what? And that was the kind of the point where she started like thinking, okay, I need to get out of here. I need to do, I need to stop this. I need to tell the world. And then she kind of finds out, oh, the guy that made those bombs was the guy who told me that my country's doing all this stuff. I wonder if this information, Cade was the one who...
Did he make them... What's your mentor's name? Damien. Do you know who he made them for, though?
He made them, he
made them for, true.
DMA... Yeah. The previous government. Yeah. The previous government.
But still for a trip. Yeah, and I'll just say, I don't know if this is appropriate to like anyone besides Truth to ask questions, but like, is like Oriana on like Team Trill, Team Riverin?
Yeah, is she back on Team Trill?
She's interested in making her own judgments and opinions now. She's tired of people kind of telling her a story and just going along with it. That's happened too often to her, and she's gotten burned way too many times for it. So right now she's trying to learn more. The date with Cade, ironically enough, is kind of part of that for her. She's trying to learn more about him. Prior to coming back to him, or coming back to a Trill, all of her information on him was basically from Damien and what he told her about him. So she's willing to get to know him. She's willing to see if he's a good person. And if she thinks he's a good person, she would trust him to do the right thing in certain situations. And that may lead to her, being willing to be Team Atrill, Team Riverin again.
Ultimately, so it's Team Atrill for sure. I don't trust any of these people. I don't like any of these people. Cade is like the one person I like. He both teams kind of trust. Cade's been like the one man of like his word so far.
Oriana definitely doesn't trust Ileana.
Yeah, I don't trust.
But she admires her because she's a powerful arcanist and she admires magic. So she wants to it. Yeah. She wants to learn more about Ileana and magic and things like that. So
they've told you what they want to tell you about Damien. Might be true, might not be true. I don't trust any of these people.
Well, that's why she's going to ask questions when we eventually find him. She's tried messaging him once to try and get an idea, and he was very evasive about it. So if we find him, he can't really be evasive about that, hopefully. Make sure you have counterspell ready.
Lordy. So would it be a relief for Oriana to be able to be Team Atrill again? Like you said, she's a nationalist at heart, and she had like this great moment, it's a huge moment of doubt that made her leave home. From what Damien told her, could this be a way for her to kind of like regain her old equilibrium? Like, is that something she wants?
It's not something she thought she would want, but with rebuilding the relationship with her mother, especially if nothing else, like if she finds out that the government are all assholes and all that kind of stuff, she still wants to be able to be with her mom, and she still wants to be able to rebuild that relationship with her family. Will she be Team Atrill if she finds out they're all assholes? Probably not, but she's also not opposed to the idea of, hey, our system of government is kind of, if you have the capability, then you are worthy to hold the position. Maybe I can fix it.
just a little ambition, tiny bit.
Eh, she is
Yeah.
following the god of ambition now.
That is true. And be very, very worthy, or what's the word? Appropriate for an acolyte of Asmodeus to take over a country, or possibly the whole world, Um, Lordy. Oriana's mother, though, did kind of warn her about. Oh, you making faces? You okay?
Well, she yelled at Oriana.
No. Everybody yells at Oriana. It's old hat now.
Yeah.
I think people should be a little bit nicer to Oriana now. I'm more sympathetic with Oriana these days. I think she's been
you.
It's just like she kind of like stood up for herself a bit this episode, because she was like, I'm not trying to hurt you guys actively. I'm trying my best. I'd like a little bit of credit. And you know what? I think she deserves a little bit of credit. She's been having a rough time of it. Like, she comes home, she's like, oh, hey, you're a traitor to the nation and we're going to execute you. Stressful,
Yeah, a little stressful.
A little stressful. To the team, it's stressful. What was I saying? Oriana's mom.
Yeah, her mother. Yeah.
Oriana's mom. So like, she was actually, I thought she seemed sort of frightened in a way about like the whole triumvirate like showing up unannounced. And one thing she said to Oriana, which I thought was interesting, was that every family has its secrets. And she seemed very worried about the government potentially finding some of these things. I don't think she's like a spy or anything, but is Oriana aware of like family secrets which might be harmful if they got out?
Whatever the DM is doing with that, I did not write in the backstory, so that is 100% unknown to me. Like, I have actively been like thinking about it. Like, what secrets could the family have? Her mom is a famous, singer. Her dad is a, not like what is he? A general? Right? Yeah, a general in the military. So I mean, their family, while not necessarily their entire lives are public knowledge, they're pretty intertwined with the either the government or the society at large. So skeletons in the closet, like what could those be? So she's definitely thinking about it. I don't really have a guess right now.
I'm wondering, was Oriana's dad involved in like the previous regime?
How old is he? Probably, right?
He's definitely old enough, so he could have been. Because the regime change was probably when Oriana was like a girl, maybe.
Oh, so it was very recent,
teens,
actually.
Late 10s, early teens.
Oh, so this is all still a bit unstable then, if it's still cooling, as it were. This
which is kind of dangerous. A young country is usually a dangerous country.
Or not a young country, but a young government.
Well, like a young government, like in this like new like, how do we structure our power? How do we display our power? Like, that's a very like dangerous and like inconsistent government, because they don't know what to do. I mean, they know what to do, but they don't know like how strong they should be, how less forceful they should be. So it's kind of like up in the air where they'll play on one side of the field. Yeah.
Especially one that overthrew the previous one, as Rennie just pointed out. They're probably loyalists to the old regime still around. Ooh, makes it all very, very exciting and complicated and twisty. I love that. Wonderful. Oh, I have so many things. So I just kind of went on a rant about Oriana, but I wanted to ask, does Oriana feel like people are being unfair to her? Because that was the impression I got during the lecture and the response to the lecture.
She definitely is frustrated with the group. Because like she told them, she's never actively tried to hurt anyone in the group. She's never intentionally gone into something like, oh, this will get them, this will prove them, she's always done what she thought was best for the group, whether that was withholding information she thought was too dangerous, like in the cave, or not telling them the whole story about her situation as far as she knew going back to Trill, because she didn't want them to be like, no, let's be safer about this and like start days outside of the city or whatever, she's always had the group's interest in mind when she's made decisions. The only time she's really ever let herself be selfish was during this arc to some extent, because her life is literally on the line. And several times the group wanted to effectively break the law. And she's like, well, hold up now. Last time we did that,
we got an ankle bracelet, guys. Literally got an ankle bracelet.
Yeah. So, and even then, when, the group pointed it out to her, she somewhat begrudgingly, but didn't want her friends to get harmed, didn't want her friends to get injured because she didn't go with them, ended up going with them anyway. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, she didn't even make the selfish choice until everybody was safe.
Yeah. I wouldn't go so far as to say that Oriana's actions have never made things hard for the group, because they have. That's just a fact.
Oh, they have. They definitely have.
Yeah. But I lost the second half of my point. But I do feel, I have sort of gotten the impression that Perry and Quinn specifically are always quite ready to start in on a lecture at Oriana. And it's my impression, and I'm just a person who watches the stream. I'm not a player, I'm not the DM, but it does kind of bring gameplay to a standstill at times, because these will be like 40-minute arguments that just kind of go in a circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, and it's an issue. We're actively working on that to try and prevent those kinds of things in the future, but it definitely doesn't come off well in the game. It definitely feels like for Oriana, the group's really jumping down her throat over every mistake she makes. She's trying
a little bit too.
Recently. Yeah, they did it to Campion, which was why after the whole dragon thing, like Oriana didn't want to just be another person berating Campion. She actively was like, "Hey, you goofed, but this isn't the end of everything. Mm-hmm. Let's try and fix this problem down the road when we have some time. Let's go back to that place and try and help it regrow. At least we took a beauty from the world. Let's try and give something back." Because she saw how people were jumping out on him, and she didn't particularly agree with that. Like she was hurt, she was frustrated during all of that, but she didn't want to just be another person beating up on the guy who probably already felt really bad.
And then Campion kind of came to her defense during the most previous episode.
Yeah,
he came to her defense. This episode, the episode prior.
The prior episode, most previous episode. Yeah. Oh, so much stuff happens, you guys. So much stuff happens.
And this is that's I try to have a nuanced position, because I didn't even want to have this conversation, because I wanted to mostly talk to Oriana about herself, because it kind of involved mainly me and mainly her. But because I don't even I think I'm probably, other than Campion, is probably the other second most, maybe Cynric has been behind Oriana. I tend to not, I don't think Baltimore has brought up previous things she's done. I just always if there's something happens in a moment, I say, hey, you messed up. This is you probably shouldn't have done this, and wait until another thing happens and say this is something else we need to help do something about. I don't tend to bring up previous things that a habit of whatever, saying she has a habit of being self. I just try to hey, this was selfish, speak to us if you're going to do this, blah, 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 blah. And it is sort of kind of that, I'm trying to be supportive of her, but also hey, listen, I messed up myself. You gotta just come own it, be and that's fine. I've Baltimore's actually said, hey, Perry, you're not being fair to Oriana at this moment. Hey, Quinn, you can't just go and attack Campion at this moment. I'm upset too at Campion. You can't just go and just wild off and hit him for no reason. So it's sort of in that weird spot, trying to play that middle ground area, trying to be having his own frustrations about this whole situation, and then also trying to be a friend, because it's who am I to say, you know, you can't overcome your mistakes? I've made Baltine's made so many mistakes. So there's that weird juxtaposition Baltine's in. And we have those like big group fights, and I think that's why he tends to like try to talk to people one-on-one to see how they are doing.
Yeah, there was a nice moment which I remember when Baltaim, well, he was criticizing Oriana, but I liked it because it was quite personal. He was saying, "Hey, I've tried to support you before. I've tried to be your friend. I feel like I'm not really getting any of that back." And I thought that was a good character moment. Like when you have one-on-one, you can have character conflict. That's part of a story. When it's one-on-one, it makes for good character moments, I think. Maybe less the whole group thing.
Right.
But it's a discussion people are having off camera. Anyway, back to the actual episode. So, is Oriana excited for her date? Talk to us about that.
She is pretty excited about it, actually. Mm-hmm. From what she's seen of Cade, he's a very nice guy, and she honestly didn't think he was because of the things she had heard about from Damien. But again, when your enemy essentially gives you or when the enemy of someone gives you information about them, of course it's not going to be accurate. But she's talked to her mom about what Cade's done. He's been very patient and respectful, and the fact that 6 months after she committed high treason, he's willing to give her another shot. That's kind of like, who does that?
Like by accident.
Well, but the thing is,
not purpose treason.
But not only was like she committing treason by doing that, but he had been the reason she committed it in a way. He gave her access to Damien. So indirectly, he was a part of it too, and that kind of reflected on him. So he could have just been an asshole and been like, "No, fuck you. You almost ruined my life." But he's helped her. He's been kind to her. He's been kind to her family. He's done a lot for Oriana, indirectly and directly. So the fact that he's willing to give her a chance is interesting to her, and she's curious to see where it goes.
I wonder what his angle is.
Does Oriana think she'll make it out of this without a Perry and Baltine makeover?
The fact that you guys think she wasn't already going to do something like that herself.
Okay, all right. Just wait. Okay, all right.
Okay. Just so we know it's coming. Just
let you know it's coming. Like this was going to this one. Okay.
Like, I don't think you understand. Before you guys even have a chance to get to the makeup and dresses, her mom is going to be there, just already.
Oh no, it's going to be all three of us. It's going to be Mama, Helena, Perry, Baltine. We're all just going to be.
Yeah, the three prettiest characters.
Yep.
It'd be so beautiful. I think Baltaim would look really good in like a deep blue ball gown.
Really? You don't think it would clash with his skin? You don't think it would be too much?
No, it needs to be like a really like a dark blue. Okay. So it's like it almost looks black, but then you get closer, that's just another. Yeah, so Baltaim just looks like a whole ocean to himself. He'll be great.
Okay, all right.
Made sparkly, who knows? Yeah.
Me and Perry might crash this date. Who knows? We'll see. We'll find out.
Oh, wouldn't that be fun? Lovely. Okay. One more thing.
Just bring Cynric. Make it a double date.
Yeah. Good.
There you go. Bring Cynric. Dynamic duo. One more thing I want to touch on before we move on. So Oriana did get cursed a little bit and lose some years, a number of years, and apparently she looks fine, but she did seem very upset about it. So I wanted to ask, like, does this mean something else to her, like apart from just losing a little bit of her youth? Because she asked several people whether they could help her, and it did seem something she was a bit hung up on.
So okay, the way I've tried to explain this out of game to everyone, because everybody's been asking me, like, why are you so focused on this? Why are you obsessing about this?
Yeah,
it's not the age. It's not the fact that she got older. It's the fact that she feels like she's lost that time.
Okay.
When everything in her life was starting to get better for her, she reconnected with her mom. She's rebuilding that relationship. She's home. You know, up until, you know, this arc, her relationship with the group had been, you know, repairing itself, had been getting better, and now she's lost some time. Does it, you know, 20 years in the span of a tiefling life of 150, 160 years, does that really matter? Maybe not, but it's still her time, and she values that. She would love to spend that extra 20 years with her family and her friends.
I mean, 20 years is a long time. Like, Kaleel's like 20.
Yeah.
What?
And she doesn't know it's 20 years. And I think that's what a lot of people were getting hung up on.
Don't do that, Truth.
Was I meta?
Yeah, Caleel is a tiny baby.
Don't do that.
Little baby.
Yeah.
God.
The other thing I would point out is that she was 22 years old, so she almost doubled her age.
Now she's just like Virgin Slayer and MILF Oriana though.
So, you know, again, it's not like, it's not she's, oh my god, I'm hideous now, I'm 40. It's, I've lost time of my life that I could have spent doing things, that I could have spent, you know, I mean, imagine if you suddenly aged up 5 years or something, you know what I mean? It's, would you change that much? Maybe not, but that's still 5 years of your life you don't get to enjoy, get to live, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not nothing. It's
not nothing. Yeah. Was I making a little bit too big of a deal about it? Maybe. I wasn't trying to, like, you know, attention hog the game or anything. Just, I wanted her to try because that's what she does. You know, she always wants to learn. She always wants to try. She always wants to grow and develop. And this was a unique situation that nobody really seemed to know how or why it happened. Maybe it would be worthwhile if we understand this.
Yeah, I didn't think it was out of character or anything. It just seemed like it meant something to Oriana that was bigger than just what it was on the surface.
Yeah, it was not just a surface level thing for her.
Yeah.
It was literally, I want that time back.
Cool beans. Okay, we don't have that much time, but we are going to move on to our topic for today. I am trying to keep up the spooky theme. We'll see how long I can do this. I'm gonna run out of topics before Halloween. I started too early. But today's topic is demons and devils and hell. Woo! So, hell. I should have done the ooh for the undead week. Live and learn. Hindsight's 2020. Anyway, so first off, who can explain to me the difference between a demon and a devil in D&D?
Devils are lawful, demons are chaotic.
Yeah.
Here's your 4-word summary.
Devils are the infernal spectrum, and demons are the abyssal perspective. The abyss, one in the hells. At least placement wise. Yeah.
Yeah, I always want to know more about the abyss because we have so much lore about the hells, but I feel like the abyss is a little bit more loosely sketched out. Speaking of which, so like, how much do you guys know about the lore of the hells and the war between the hells and the abyss and all of that cool stuff?
I mean, I know a fair bit, just being a DM and using those creatures.
If you gave me some time, I'm pretty sure I could figure out all of the archdevils in the 9 hells.
All of them?
I might be able to get them in order. Maybe?
Really?
I couldn't do order, but I could probably name all the archdevils, and I could probably
how many are there? They're 9, right? They're 9.
There's
10,
there's 10 because one
one's
layer
duplex.
is twins.
Yeah.
I think there's 10.
Right.
Actually, I think there's 11 because I think there's a forgotten archdevil.
I guess there's technically 9 archdevils because I don't know if you count Asmodeus as an archdevil.
Oh yeah, well if you don't count Asmodeus, then there's 10. Because I think there's still a forgotten archdevil that has been like lost to time. Imprisoned.
Yeah,
imprisoned apparently.
Right. So yeah, I couldn't name them by layers, but I could name the archdevils for sure, and I could name the archdemons. Again, couldn't do it by layer.
Would you do it?
Yeah.
for
I
us?
could not name the demons.
I know if the archdevils, there's Glacia, Ferna, Mephistopheles, Asmodeus, Gagaroth, is that the forgotten one?
I think so.
Zariel, Dispater,
Starts with them.
I said Mephistopheles already.
There's another one.
Oh.
Were there two?
Yeah. Third level. Third level.
Third level.
He's about greed.
Is that Dispater? Isn't Dispater greed?
No, Dispater's paranoia.
Oh. I think I'm missing two more.
Jake, who's he missing?
He's missing Mammon.
Mammon
is right. The third layer, and he's the one who's like, yeah, I will totally like give you all the wealth in the world for your soul. And by the way, that wealth comes back to me when you're done with it.
You're renting it.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, you can't take it with you.
What's the quote in Mordenkainen's? If you have enough wealth, Mammon is actually probably the only devil you would want to make a deal with, because he would just take your wealth.
I feel like I'm missing one more.
Probably are. I wasn't keeping track.
Yeah, I think we're still missing a couple. Whatever. Good job, guys. Go team. Hand for Caleel. Hand.
Balls.
Yeah.
That's what. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah. I was gonna say ball, but I was like, I feel like that's not right. I feel like I just dated myself saying ball.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I feel like that's wrong.
Is ball team secretly an archdevil?
Yeah, is ball team an archdevil?
You'll have to find out, guys.
Yeah, it's been pointed out that there is a ball, but that is Baal, I believe.
Yeah.
That's a murder god, I think, right?
A murder god? Okay. Ooh, murder gods. Wonderful. So Caleel, you talked about this a little bit. Like, you have some familiarity with this because of your work as a DM. So as DMs, how do you guys like usually utilize devils and demons? Is this a kind of lore that you like to weave into your stories? Or are they just like cool little bad guys that you use sometimes? Do you ignore them mostly? What do you like to do?
It depends on where what I have as a structure to the story, like what the backgrounds are. There might be every now and again just something like that is from the hells or from the abyss. That might be somewhat of a little loose thing, but not necessarily intangible to the whole construct of the story. I just think that that lore is just interesting because of the war that they have and how they started. If I have a background to it, I definitely can fit that narrative to that lore of what the blood war is. I think it's more just I just like that. It's just an interesting concept of the blood war and the demons versus the devils and the devils versus the demons and the angels sort of. I just think that's just an interesting neat thing in the lore of D&D.
It's an interesting neat thing.
Devils for me when I'm DMing kind of suffer from Strahd syndrome in a way, where more of it's you can't really just have a random devil on the road.
Yeah.
Because that's not really how it fits. I mean, you can have a crossroads devil. You could have that sort of a thing. But just a random devil showing up. You can't roll a random encounter and just randomly put a devil in. You need to have an actual story purpose for why that devil is there. Because that's kind of how they work. They need a reason to do something. They're lawful creatures. They follow a set of codes and rules. And sure, they made those codes and rules, but they still have to follow them. Whereas demons, it's so easy to just kind of throw a random demon in somewhere, even a powerful demon, because that's all they care about is just careless destruction and violence for the sake of it. So I always find it hard to put devils into something without making an entire arc about it.
Devils.
Yeah, like, going to the Nine Hells to save a soul of a friend or something along those lines, There was a campaign I was planning, and I actually ended up giving up on it because I realized I was making it dark for the sake of just having a dark campaign, where it was basically going to be, what if the Blood War was on the Prime Material plane? And the whole kind of concept is that, some idiot human opened a rift to the abyss that was made permanent. So now the demons are here. So now the devils have to get here so that, the demons don't spread out to the rest of the multiverse. And then, now devils and demons are fighting on the homeland of the Prime Material. I guess the angels have to come in and make sure everybody's behaving themselves, So it was this whole idea of like the three factions were basically just using the Prime Material plane as
a battleground.
As a battleground. And
I'd say that.
It was an interesting concept, but a lot of what I was building up for it was just dark for the sake of being dark. I didn't feel like the story was going to go anywhere with it. Maybe if I had spent more time on it, and it's an idea, I'll go back and revisit it eventually, but it is tough to make a game that's just purposefully dark for the sake of being dark. You're hard pressed to find people that want to play that.
It's going to be
but this is going to be like a game
so into Curse
and devils and all that kind of stuff all the time.
I want to join the demon army.
I actually was trying to make a warlock subclass, Pact of the Abyss, for it.
Everyone knows now Truth is the agent of chaos, just so everyone's aware.
You already knew that, surely.
True. I would also be in the demon army though, Truth.
Yeah, demon army buddies. Be in the same team. We can share barracks.
Light is dying on me.
Oh, you look so dramatic now. Dramatically lit.
Wait, hold on, let me
You look like you're about to give like a soliloquy.
Yeah.
Oh, your soliloquy. Did you hear? I said you look like you're about to give a soliloquy with like the lighting just like from off your face.
Maybe another time. Maybe not.
Yeah. Next time you're on, memorize something for me. I'm gonna start making you guys do that. Lord, can you imagine? Anyway, so sort of like this segues well into my next question, which is kind of about how some people have said that modern D&D has become more about the forces of chaos versus the forces of order. And we mentioned this right at the beginning. The whole demon versus devil war is actually a really good example of that because it's evil versus evil, but it's really just lawful evil versus chaotic evil. And they really disagree about the right way to be evil. So we just heard from Caleel, but if you had to take sides in the Hell Wars, where'd you end up?
Personally, if I was set
Whatever.
into D&D. If I was set into D&D, I would take sides with devils. I mean, they're like evil is bad, but like no matter what, but at least there is some structures. Like you can there are people that live in the hells or like go to the hells and they're fine. You just have to know very clearly what the rules are and like know how to like properly act in the hells. So I'd probably like if I was a D&D character, I'd probably be in the hells. I'd probably place my bastion with the hells because I myself am more lawful neutral than like anything more chaotic. So I would probably fit better that way. But if I'm playing in a game, I want to be definitely with demons. Chaos all the way.
Yeah.
I would definitely be on the side of the devils. The demons, it's not like they have an agenda. They just wanted to destroy for the sake of destroying.
Yeah.
That's what we're told.
That's what we're told.
But
it's also what demons do. I mean, you look at like Tharizdun and a lot of the demon princes and stuff. None of them really. I mean, who's the one who thinks all of reality is an illusion? And if they wake up, they would just destroy it or something.
Cthulhu?
Who is that? No, not Cthulhu. Is it Cthulhu? I thought this was like a demon. It's not no, it is Orcus. Orcus believes he's the only true sentient creature, and everything else needs to be destroyed so that he can, like, prove sentience is
just
his own or something. I don't know. I forget the specific lore.
My only amendment to my statement is if I'm strictly under Gratz, because he's a sexy demon man, and that's my only exception.
Caleel will only work for sexy demon men.
Exactly.
Well, when you waifu the most powerful witch in the D&D multiverse.
Okay, Kaleel's gonna wreck that home. I believe in Caleel. I think I almost definitely end up inside the Devils too, simply because I am accustomed to living in a society. I am domesticated. But like Caleel, if I was a character, I would be 100% going with the demons, just because it's a more open world over there. Like, there aren't as many rules. You can do where the fuck you want as long as you sow enough destruction and chaos. I think that sounds great.
The one caveat being that the demons have one rule, which is eat or be eaten.
Right.
I mean, the devils have the same rule. They're just more polite about it.
Survival's fittest. Yeah, same thing. It's just, there's more extra things on top.
Hey, it's a dog-eat-dog universe. It's a dog-eat-dog multiverse.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we have time for like one more question. So what about playing tieflings? Since this is a race with like direct connections to hell, I feel like there are a lot of different ways you can play that, because I mean, you can kind of decide whether there's prejudice against tieflings in your world or not. You can decide whether or not your character feels proud of their heritage, feels ashamed of it, just ignores it. How do you guys usually do that? Where do you angle yourselves?
I prefer campaigns where tieflings aren't like outright prosecuted or anything. Mm-hmm. Like, they're not outright just called out on the streets, but maybe there are some people who have those prejudices against them.
Racism.
Yeah, just, good old classic racism.
Classic fantasy racism.
Racism classic. Because there always needs to be some kind of conflict in a story. You can't just have like everybody being all bubbly and happy. And this is gonna sound really stupid. The reason racism works against tieflings is because there is a sort of causation to it. Of they look like evil creatures. They look like these devils. So I lost the plot of it here. I got too caught up on the fact that I was saying racism against tieflings is good, and I'm like,
Jake is pro racism against tieflings.
Pro fantasy racism.
It's not like, because it's not like the orcs where it's just like it's been an overplayed trope necessarily. I guess. Whereas with tieflings, it's you can make that one guy super racist against tieflings because he actually thinks they're devil children.
Yeah, I've always just unless like specifically like told otherwise about the lore, I've always sort of like gone with like Azamar and tieflings. They're really, like, if you get down to their genetic makeup, they're just humans. It's just that somewhere down the line there was just some deviation with something. This person made a deal with the devil, and they were like, "Start taking your soul. You know what? Your 10th grandson on the 3rd moon will be a progeny of mine, to do my bidding on this world."
I thought they just had sex with devils.
That's the lore, but like in my mind, that makes it makes
you've made it less sexy, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of both ways in the lore, actually. There are people who literally are like, "Oh, hey, you're a hot looking devil. Want to bang me?" And then, they just have a tiefling baby. And it's like, "Oh, this was unexpected coming from a human."
Oh,
but
never
okay.
would have expected these horns on this baby.
that's gonna hurt coming on the way out.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope they're little when they're born.
No, they're little when they're formed. It's
But-
just like goats and stuff. But
I do like the like. I mean, it's a vast world of people. There's there's gonna be people obviously that were like, oh, you look like a devil. You're probably a devil. Like that's just like that makes like if you just think not too far about it, it's like that makes sense to me. I don't really trust devils, so I'm not gonna trust you. Like even though like the like DNA wise, you're more human than devil. Like you just have this like lineage of being part of something extra planar.
I feel like an enterprising tiefling could probably run a very good scam pretending to be a devil.
talk to Chad. He has the perfect tiefling for that.
Lovely.
Runs a Halloween fright like warehouse thing. Doesn't have to pay anyone, just does himself.
Boo. Anyway, and that does bring us to our time for tonight. Thank you guys for joining me today to talk about all the weird stuff that happened in the game and then also talk about demons and devils and cool stuff, which I like. Yeah, this is what this show is. I talk about your stuff, then I just choose a random topic and make you talk about it because I want to hear people's opinions on these topics and I can make you do it because it's my show and you'll have a choice.
These are all true words.
Anyway, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you to everyone who's watching for tuning in once again. Make sure to tune in on Friday for the next exciting episode of Roll for Damage. Then tune in on Tuesday for the next exciting episode of What's the Damage where we discuss the episode of Roll for Damage. It's a cyclical thing. We just feed into each other. Check out our Twitter. We're still doing our art crawl, I believe. There are absolutely beautiful bits of art up there, which you will be sad if you miss. So you shouldn't miss them. Check out our Discord. We have memes and cool stuff and all of us on there. We talk and we'll talk to you if you come talk to us. Check out our YouTube. We have all our backlog of episodes there. Check out our Patreon. We have cool rewards for our patrons, behind the scenes stuff, cosplay, mostly behind the scenes stuff, which is kind of interesting. You get to see how the sausage is made. What am I forgetting? What else do we have? We have a store. And we sell t-shirts there and also mugs and cool stuff, which you will enjoy if you buy. I have a t-shirt. It's very comfy. I'm not wearing it right now, but it's very comfy. I believe in our podcast. I always forget the podcast, and Chad is like, why do you forget the podcast? I work so hard on the podcast. I'm sorry, Chad. He works so hard on the podcast. Thank you, Sunbird and Lady Ows, for doing our opening title thing card and also our music. I'm running out of words, so I must bid you all good night. I have to go wash my face and go to sleep. Anyway, good night. We love you. Bye.
Peace.
Peace.